Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over my updated 2026 governor's midterms prediction for the upcoming 2026 midterms, and we're going to be focusing on the governor's map today instead of the Senate race, and I'm going to be comparing my prediction to what's on our website. And this goes to show you that on our website, my website is not based on my opinion, it's based on the actual polling averages. So the map on our website is based on, we take basically all the B and A rated pollsters, minus out the anything with a C or under, basically. Like if there's a poll that's rated a C, we do not include that in there. We only include B rated and A rated ones, like Siena, for example, and much other A/B rated pollsters, and we just combine the top rated pollsters, and this is what the map comes out to. Now, to be clear, I haven't updated the governor's map ever since. As you can see right here, it should say somewhere here, since it was last updated. For some reason it does not right now, but I think it's been a couple weeks. So this is the map for the governor's race on our website. You can also take a look at the Senate if you'd like, but for today's video we're focusing on the governor's race as of today, July 22nd. This is my prediction video. Before you get started, make sure you guys are subscribed, click the bell so you don't miss my content, press the like button, share this video. Don't forget, if you're interested, we have memberships. You can find the links to that in the description section, and you also can find the link in the description section to our official website. So let's begin with the map, starting off with the West Coast, and then we'll end off with the Northeast or the Rust Belt. Oregon. I think Oregon's going to be a lean, a Democratic state this time around for the governor's race, just like how it was in 2022. You have Tina Kotek going up against the exact same opponent that she faced last time. It's the exact two same candidates in this race for both parties. It's just a rematch, basically similar to Joe Biden and Donald Trump in 2024 and 2020. So Oregon's governor's race is a rematch from 2022 and now in 2026, the exact same two candidates. And Tina Kotek is a very unpopular Democrat, extremely unpopular as governor in the state of Oregon. She won by just 3 points against her Republican opponent last time. I believe it was in 2022. And so this is a more favorable year for the Democrats, or at least that's what it should be. And I think Democrats might actually be overestimated this time around. I know in 2025, the off-year elections, like in Virginia's governor's race, New Jersey's governor's race, and the New York City mayoral election, that was the one time where actually Republicans were the ones that were overestimated and Democrats were surprisingly underestimated. You saw Virginia's governor's race, the Democrat actually, Abigail Svendsberger, overperformed the polling by about 5 points. That's insane for a Democrat. If that were to happen again, then you would see a way bluer map than what I am currently showing right now. But I think Oregon's governor's race isn't really going to shift that much just because the environment kind of cancels out Tina Kotek's unpopularity. So I think she just wins by about the same, like 3 points. Lean Democrat. Nevada, I do think Joe Lombardo wins this by about 2 to 3. I'm going to say 3 for now, which is enough to consider a lean margin. The latest poll, I believe it was a Democrat internal one, shows a tie. So if you have a Democrat internal suggesting a tie, that means your own candidate is not even winning in that poll. That goes to show you that Joe Lombardo is probably favored here. I think is a popular governor in the state of Nevada, although travel to that state or visiting tourists have been an all-time low, mainly due to potentially Donald Trump or the governor itself. So other than that, I don't know if that's going to really move anything, but I think Joe Lombardo is pretty decent for the Republicans. As for Arizona, you have the Katie Hobbs going up against Andy Biggs. Katie Hobbs ran a shadow campaign in 2022 and still ended up winning. I know that's kind of crazy. How could you barely be seen campaigning and you still end up winning? That goes to show you how much of a flawed, terrible candidate Kari Lake was. Now, Andy Biggs is a slight improvement, still not the best, but still a better improvement compared to Kari Lake. Obviously, that's very clear. So I do think Arizona is going to go for Katie Hobbs once again, not because she's good. She's not good at all. It's just because I don't think there's quite enough for Andy Biggs to win at the end of the day. I don't really have any reason to say Andy Biggs is going to win. And I think Katie Hobbs wins this time around by even more. I think she actually improves her margin even though she's so unpopular, similar to Amy Kotek. Just because, she's bad for the economy and whatnot, but I still think she wins by a lean margin, honestly. It's not because she's good. She's not. It's just because her opponent, don't get me wrong, is better. Andy Biggs is better than Kari Lake, but even though he's going to lose by more than Kari Lake, which kind of doesn't make sense, but it's more of a blue wave year, so that's why. That's the main reason why. Alaska, I think for the governor's race, lean Republican. For the Senate race, lean Democrat. So total opposite. But for this video specifically, we're talking about the governor's race. So Alaska's governor's race, I think as of right now, is a lean Republican. There has been a few polls, but they're really bad. Like the undecided is at like 20%. That's insane. Like there's really no clear winner in Alaska. It can go either way. I'm going to say lean Republican for now by about 4% for the Republican candidate, whoever that is. Georgia, for the governor's race, I think I'm going to say as of right now, it's looking like tilt to perhaps lean Republican. I think I'm going to go +2 for the Republican as of right now. I believe Rick Jackson, I think he wins by a couple points. If it goes blue for some reason, I think that's just basically the African-American turnout. And the Democratic Party is running an African-American candidate on the governor's race. So I think that should help. But if you compare this my website, with all the polling averages, like I said, it's not my prediction, it's the polling averages, to my actual prediction for this video, this is what the map basically looks like. It's very similar though, but it will change as we get closer to the Rust Belt. And then you have the state of Iowa, and also Georgia is trending towards the left, so it could very well flip for the governor's race. And don't get me wrong, even Brian Kemp in 2018, I know this 2026, the midterms, is going to look very similar to 2018 rather than 2020, in my opinion. 2020 was more blue than 2018, even though they were both blue wave years. I think 2026 is going to be more comparable and more similar to 2018 rather than 2020. And so it's going to be lean Republican for Georgia's governor's race. Stacey Abrams came close. She only lost by 2. So I think you could see very similar margins for Keisha Bottoms in this scenario. Iowa, for the governor's race, I'm going to characterize it lean Democrat. I think Rob Sand wins by about 2 points at the end of the day, enough to characterize it as lean Democrat. You compare that to a website, there's a difference. It's characterized as a toss-up, 50-50, no clear winner as of right now. That's just basically with all the polling averages, which hasn't got updated because if you actually take a look at the polling averages, Rob Sand is consistently kind of leading all the time, so that should update when I do update it in just a bit. I do update it every week. Ohio, I think as of right now for the governor's race, Vivek Ramaswamy could potentially end up losing. Now, I think he's going to be underestimated here, therefore he does win by about 2 points, so similar to Rob Sand's margin in Iowa. I think Vivek wins by just 2. Not that much at all, considering Ohio's a very red state. Just because he's a little new, he's never held public office before, and the Republican Party of Iowa may be skeptical of him, and Amy Acton isn't that bad of a Democratic candidate, which is why she can actually end up winning potentially. But just because it's too much of a red state, I would say he barely hangs on there. Ramaswamy takes the victory by +2. And he was also he actually overperformed when he ran for president in the 2024 GOP Republican primaries. He managed to get 8% up until the Iowa caucus. Considering that he's never held public office before, his name recognition was very low at the time, and he still managed to get 8 points in the same ballot where Donald Trump was in. I think that's quite impressive for Vivek Ramaswamy. Therefore, I can't count him out just yet. So, Wisconsin, last and final state. Also, I do want to clear up Texas, Florida. I think those are likely Republican states. I think Byron Donalds, that race can actually potentially get within a lean margin. I know it's likely right now, but I think Byron Donalds might win by like less than 7 points. It's up there, but we don't really know as of right now. I would say probably +8 for Donalds as of right now, just because Florida's a very red state in general. In Michigan, John James going up against the Democratic opponent. I do think that because Mike Duggan dropped out, that improves the Democrats' chances of winning. Therefore, it's a likely Democratic state now. I think that's quite clear to a lot of people. Pennsylvania, this is another shift. My previous governor's race prediction, it was likely Democrat. Now moving it up to solid blue. Polling came out in the state showing Shapiro up by double digits. Once again, he won by 14 last time. So I'm going to improve his margin from the previous 8% I had it to 10. That's enough to consider it a solid blue state. He doesn't really have much competition. He never really did anyways. Wisconsin, I do think, is going to be a very tricky one because Tom Tiffany, I think, is a very solid Republican candidate. And as far as the Democratic nominee goes, it's up in the air still. It's between Hong and Mandela Barnes. The latest polling shows Hong actually defeating Mandela Barnes in the Democratic primary, which is quite shocking, to be honest. I don't know how she's getting any votes. And if Mandela Barnes does end up becoming the Democratic nominee, I think Wisconsin's governor's race will be blue. I do think Mandela Barnes does defeat Tom Tiffany. But if for some reason Hong does end up becoming the nominee, which it looks like she can very well because she is leading over Mandela Barnes in the Democratic primary, I do think Tom Tiffany will win the state of Wisconsin for the governor's race over Hong by about 2 points, 1.5. I think a lean margin, not even tilt. Hong is not a good candidate at all, and I don't know how she's leading the Democratic primary in terms of the last polls that we are seeing over someone like Mandela Barnes. And Crawley should drop out. Like, his own internal had him losing by double digits, so that's insane. I don't know what he's doing there. I think he actually withdrew and then came back into the race. Kind of weird, if you ask me. So this is the updated governor's map. 27 GOP, 23 Democrats. And Wisconsin, that's me judging based on if Hong becomes a Democratic nominee. It's a lean Republican for Tom Tiffany. Now, if Mandela Barnes is the nominee, then I would flip that and say Wisconsin's lean Democrat. I'm basically assuming Hong is a Democratic nominee, therefore Wisconsin's governor's race is lean Republican. So this is my prediction. Compare it to my website, Nonpartisan. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, which states you agree with or disagree with and why. One last final reminder is to subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss on my content, press the like button, share this video, don't forget we have memberships, so you can find links to that in the description section. You can also find our website in the description section as well. Thank you everyone for watching.